What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Hatoraid Live, the Hatoraid Hour podcast. I'm your host, Jordan, aka Hatoraid Cowboy. And, oops, I'm getting some feedback. Let me put in my headphones. Sorry about that if you guys heard that. But yeah, we got some more news that is home theater news that is shaking up the home theater industry. So we're going to be talking about that today. But a few housekeeping items. Let's have fun. Let's be kind to one another. And let's keep it G-rated. All right. Let's see here. Okay. So Ariel is in the chat. What's up, Ariel? Good to see you as always. Let me know where you guys are watching from. So, yeah, madVR has just announced a brand new video processor. Let me pull this up here. By the way, guys, if you guys want to help out the channel with super chats, go ahead and do that as well. Super chats are welcome. Let me know if my audio is good. You guys can hear me. So let me go over to my stuff over here so I can show you guys what all this stuff looks like, if I can find everything. Okay, here we go. So this, oops, I need to, technical difficulties here, guys. There we go. So this is the brand new core or Envy core from madVR. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to go over some of the specs. But this is a slimmer profile, and it's aimed at a very specific audience, and it's half the price. So, you know, there's been a lot of shakeup, man, with Kaleidescape. You know, they have the $4,000 player now, entry level, and now you have this. This, I believe, is $4,999, so $5,000. And while no one's going to argue that's still not cheap, but when you look at the other products, especially, you know, we're talking about the madVR, I feel like this is attainable. This is something that you could easily save up for, you know, over the course of a year, couple years. And now you can get pretty much most of the benefits of a madVR. So this is awesome. It's a very good time to be a home theater enthusiast. And, you know, these companies are actually listening. People, you know, we gripe and we moan and we cry about, you know, pricing and all this stuff. They're listening, guys. It may not always come as soon as you want it to, because there's a lot of research and development that goes into this stuff. There is a lot of planning and, you know, market, what's the word I'm looking for? Questionnaire is not the word, but research. So market research, all that stuff. But they are listening. So now you have the opportunity to get some pretty high-end stuff at a more reasonable price. So this is the front of it. We got another look here. I'm not sure why this image has two images there. But there's the front of it. And let me see. There is the back. Oh. So yeah, I'm not sure why this one keeps doing this, but let me scroll over here. So that's the back. So I don't have any other images of the other Envys, the madVRs, but I'm assuming you're going to get less ports on this. But we'll talk about that. So Bobby Digital says, when are the units shipping? It says, so I don't know exactly when they're shipping. I know that there's a special price through December. They're debuting it at Audio Advice Live this week. So I'm assuming, and it's going to be at CEDIA as well in September. So I'm assuming If it's not already shipping, it's probably going to be shipping here in the next couple months. I was not given that info yet, but I assume it's going to be soon because I mean they've announced pricing and they said it's through December, so it's got to be soon if it's not already. But yeah, if we take a look at this, you see on the left, hopefully guys you can see my cursor. Yeah, it looks like you can see it. On the left we've got input and pass through. So again, I haven't been given all info, but I'm assuming this input would be going from your projector to the madVR, and I'm going to assume pass is pass through, which means I guess you can send the signal like, you know, unadulterated if you want to. If you don't want to do anything to that, maybe you have another display. I'm not sure on that. I'll probably get some qualification. However, I will be having a madVR on a live stream next week, I believe Thursday. So look out for that. But I wanted to, they just announced this today. It was embargoed until this morning. So I wanted to hop on here, do a quick stream, talk about it. So then we have our RF. So infrared, RF. So I guess if you want, some blasters, you want to hook up some blasters to it, you can put that there. Oh yeah, pass through is for game. Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's correct. So pass through. So yeah, so it is basically, it isn't going to change the signal, but pass through. They said that it's not recommended to plug your gaming console into this because there's too much lag. So that that pass through is not going to touch that. So that's where you want to plug in your gaming console. Thanks for that, Ariel. And then you have your LAN, and I'm not sure what these USB ports are for. And then over here you have your output. So it looks like there's only one HDMI here. These look like these are display ports. So I'm kind of interested to see the decision on that. I don't know exactly how you would hook this up. I'm assuming that, you would probably go from your projector to the madVR here, and then, your whatever your device is of choice, whether it's Apple TV, Zudu, Kaleidescape, or something, will go here. But I'm curious if you have something like a HD Fury that does switching, if you could plug that into here, and that'll give you more ports. Because, I mean, I don't use only time I use DisplayPort is like with a monitor on my computer or something. So, but I'm assuming because this is the core, they're not going to give you as many HDMI, outputs. So that's what that looks like. Let me see. Let me do something here real quick. I'm getting some weird feedback on my headphones. That's why I took them off. Let me know if you guys can still hear me. So I want to share what they shared with me. Let me take this off of here and let me present. Let's see. Stop screen. Present. Window. Okay. Notes. Envy Core highlights. Okay. So let me make this a little bit bigger. This is what they shared with us. So Envy Core highlights. $4,995 through the end of the year. The Envy Core delivers exceptional video processing quality while offering features and performance that even exceed those of higher priced competitor models. So it's going to be half the price. The Envy Core is suited for use with modestly priced displays, media rooms, and home theater systems, providing exceptional performance and features when the more advanced Envy Pro Mark II reference standard video processing of the Envy is outside of the budget. Okay, so then we have here, we have the dimensions, and let me make this bigger for you guys, if I can. Okay, that's a little bit better. Jeff says madVR works for any display. That is correct. So You have your dimensions here, 17 and a quarter by 13 by 3.5 inches. So basically a 2U. So this should fit very well in any rack if you have the space. Most people will probably at least have a 2U rack space. As Jeff says, I have the madVR Extreme Gen 1. Thanks, Jeff. Good to know. Yeah. Okay. So we have the Envy makes it more versatile, suited for modest projects and budgets without sacrificing performance. And it's using the NVIDIA 4060 GPU. I'm not sure. Jeff, you have the madVR Extreme Gen 1. Are they using the same GPU? Or is this a kind of like a lower tier GPU? So you also get, there's also a feature unlock and extended warranty that you can purchase for $995 through December 31st. So this adds additional features and doubles the warranty to 4 years. Again, I don't know what those features are. They did not tell us that. I'm assuming we'll find that out here soon. And you know, if I don't find out between now and CEDIA, because I'll be at CEDIA with those guys. So if I don't find out before then, you know, should have some info at CEDIA. Let's see here. Jeff says no, lower tier. Okay, so yeah, that makes sense because it's an entry. You know, half the price makes sense that they're not going to give you the same GPU. Let's see here. Ease of use. So the Core offers the same outstanding ease of use, same user-friendly menu system as a Pro. My question on that is, do you get a remote? Because I don't see any images with a remote. I would assume it has to come with a remote. Otherwise, how are you going to control it? Unless there is a web GUI, which I don't think that there is. It would be nice if there is, but I'm assuming that it's going to come with a remote. Let's see here. And firmware updates and future features. So Core users will receive regular Envy firmware updates with ongoing improvements. Same advanced future features will be available to those with the Core Premium package and higher editions, while other advanced future features will be exclusive to Envy Pro and Envy Extreme. Okay, now let's look at the specs, because I have that here that I want to show you. Let me see here. Let me find that real quick. Window specs. Here we go. Okay, let me remove that for a second. Let me address some of these comments here. So this has the RTX 4060, which I think is the same as the Envy Pro Mark 1. The Envy Extreme has a higher. Okay, so that makes sense. It makes some sacrifices between motion AI and some other functions. Yeah, we're going to talk about that because motion AI is not on there. That's something that I don't really care too much about. I mean, obviously if it has it, you know, great. I'm more excited about some of the other ones. Let's see. The Core will not receive all the remotes that Extreme received. For most folks, this unit will do an amazing job. Yes, and mark my words, I don't know when, and I don't know how. Well, obviously I know how, but I don't know when, but I am going to own one of these in the future. May not be this year, may not be next year, but at some point I'm going to own one of these because this is awesome that, you know, they just came out with this one. Okay, so let me see if I can make this a good size so we can go over it. I have so many windows open, I gotta find where all my stuff is at. Okay, here we go. Let's see how I can make this bigger. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that. So let's go over some of the specs here. So you have HDR tone mapping. So you can see you've got the core with the premium pack, which you can add on for $995. You've got the Pro Mark II and then the Extreme Mark II. So You can see the little check marks here that shows you, whether it contains everything that the other ones do. But you get HDR tone mapping. So you got frame by frame 4K HDR tone mapping, HDR presets. You've got the adjustable highlight, highlight and global saturation for HDR, contrast recovery, all checks across the board. Highlight recovery maximizes fine detail in bright image areas, and shadow detail maximizes. So we've got check mark all the way down for core. Next, we have motion handling and scaling. So ring-free, artifact-free chroma upscaling, check for the core. Sharp and ring-free high-quality downloading, check. AI-based upscaling. So you do get AI-based upscaling with the core. However, you don't get upscaling to 5K, 24, 50, 60, or 8K and any of the custom resolutions. So you don't get that. But it's nice that you do at least get the AI-based upscaling. So it looks like it's going to cap out. The AI upscaling is going to cap out at 4K, whatever frame rates those are. But you lose, above that, which for most people, that's probably going to be okay. I assume, for the majority of people that are buying this, you're not going to need more than that. Oh, looks like I lost my image here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so for aspect ratio, aspect ratios, we get bidirectional nonlinear stretch. So that's what I'm excited for 16 by 9. So this is going to eliminate the black bars, through processing. I'm not too concerned about AI upscaling. I mean, that's nice, and I've seen it. It does a great job, but I would rather have the HDR tone mapping as well as, the nonlinear stretch for 16 by 9 screens. So we get both check marks there. Let's see, define and fit content to any aspect ratio, including custom ARs, check. Looks like it's pretty much check all the way down. Image shift, convergence correction. Some of these I don't know what they are. If you guys know, you can chime in the chat. Automatic, truly instant aspect ratio and black bar detection, including IMAX format. IMAX format, nice, so that's a check. AI-based anamorphic stretch, check. Subtitle management, fit subtitles by dynamically resizing the image, check. And then here's where you start losing some features under the aspect ratio. So you have dynamic subtitle overlay, which repositions the subtitles without resizing the image. You don't get that. No automatic activation of JVC and Sony lenses. Negatory on that. Geometry correction. So again, those features, most people probably aren't going to need those. But what I'm liking is it looks like they've given you most of the features that most people would need and that are going to fit most people's, setup. Okay, then artifact reduction and edge texture enhancement. You have sharpening and edge enhancement, check. I never use sharpening. Obviously, this is going to be much better than like your standard TV or projector. So, we'll see how it looks. Texture detail enhancement, check. And then you lose AI-based compression, artifact reduction, AI-based grain and noise reduction, banding reduction, ringing reduction. Okay, so what's next? And actually, let me answer show some of these comments here. So let's scroll up here a little bit. For most folks, this is going to do an amazing job. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, it looks like, looking at the specs, it looks like they made sure to give, and I'm sure they did a lot of research. They made sure to give everybody that's buying the core most of the core, and that's why it's called the core features that most people are going to use. All the other stuff, unless you've got like a really sophisticated setup where you need all those other advanced stuff, you're not going to miss that. So, it's I'm glad that they focused on that, on the important stuff. Tar Hoya says there's a very small delta between the Core Premium and the Pro, a lot more features exclusive to the Extreme. And again, like how many how many people are actually going to use those features jumping from, the premium to the pro, or, between. It's probably minimal. I got my printer for the core and the audio device this morning. I'm excited for it. Nice. So I guess it is available to purchase now. It makes sense that they announced, the pricing, and that special pricing is due December. So I don't know for sure, but we're working on trying to get one of the cores on the channel for review. So I'm not going to say it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen, but we are talking about it. If it does happen, it's probably going to be after Cydia, because they have it at Audio Advice, and then they're going to have it at Cydia in September. And I'll be at Cydia, so I'll be able to cover it, see it firsthand. But hopefully I'll be able to get one in on the channel and review it, make some content with it. I'm super excited about the possibility of hopefully, getting one. Jeff says he bought his Extreme from Audio Advice for half the price of a new one. Nice. Tarhoya says, I thought about, oh, okay, he's commenting on the other, to someone else's comment. Jeff Boyer says, you need the premium pack to get all the future updates exclusive for the core, still not all that the Extreme receives. Yeah, so that's nice that they give you that option, that they even give you that option. It's an extra $1,000. So, but the good thing is, I'm sure you can add that whenever you want. If you want to just buy the core and stick with that for a while, save some cash and just use those main features. And then later, if you want to save up, get some updates, you can do that. You can own a madVR and a Kaleidescape for $10K. That is insane. That is insane. And all within the last couple of weeks, like within a month. So again, very, very fun times to be a home theater enthusiast. For those of you that have been wanting to get into the Kaleidescape ecosystem, madVR ecosystem, I mean, those are two of the big, like, the big boys in high end. So who knows what's next? I'm sure some of these other companies are looking at this thinking, man, we gotta, well, hopefully they are thinking, we gotta step it up. Cause, I mean, I think this madVR core, Envy core, is cheaper than the cheapest Lumigen now. Like, I think it's cheaper than that. So they're going to have to step it up. But again, these are prices that are now a little bit more attainable for people, even if you have to save up for a while to get it. It's not crazy out of this world expensive now. Still a lot of money, but I mean, we spend money on all kinds of stuff, all the TVs, amplifiers, speaker cables. Like, I mean, there's really no excuse now other than to just, save up for it. Let's see. The non-linear stretch is amazing. Yes, it is. That's probably one of the biggest things that I'm excited for, to not have to, like, I've thought about going the masking panels, like making my own, and I'm fairly handy. I'm sure that I could do it, but I'm like, man, I don't really want to go through that. Like, I don't want to have to do that. So being able to get the Envy core and have that feature, and you don't have to do anything to it, is awesome. Hello from Denmark. Always try to check in when, and if possible, hope all are doing great. Thanks for checking in, man. I'm sure it's probably like really early there or really late. So always appreciate you checking in. Let's see, this is good news for the home theater world. Very, very good news. Very good news. Okay, let's go back to this. So, let me make this bigger. Okay, so features by model. So we have 96-bit. So some of this stuff, I don't know what this is. 96-bit per pixel floating point. Oh, okay, 444. I know what that is. 444 for all algorithms. So check. So let's see. Extreme quality dithering algorithm. Don't know what that is. Smooth motion algorithm for displays with no or poor 24 FPS support. Check. Interesting. Automatic optimization for algorithm quality levels, check. Advanced 3D LUT calibration, check. Massive 3D and 1 LUTs, don't really know what that is, check. Free access to the Envy Academy online course, 50 lessons, check. That's pretty cool. Firmware update notices, okay. Remote technical assistance from authorized dealers, madAssist, check. Highly intuitive user interface, true plug and play installation in minutes, check. Frame pack 1024, 3D support, check. IP control, so you got Creston Home, Control 4, Savant, RTI, and others, so check. And then what did we lose here? Direct AV gear integration, okay, smart menus, 3D limited. So this looks like stuff that most people aren't going to use. Okay, supported max input formats. So what is that? 60 hertz at 49. So 4K, 12-bit. Let me put my cursor over here. 4K, 12-bit, 420 or 422 at 8-bit, and then 30 hertz. So okay, so it looks like yeah, you get that. Let me see. Product roadmap. What is that? Product roadmap. AI-based 4K HDR dynamic tone mapping processing, check on the core. Gaming mode, lower latency processing, check. AI-based motion adaptive de-interlacing, check. Additional undisclosed basic. So product roadmap, I'm guessing that's future features? Like that's not available? Not sure what that means. Then you lose, what, multi-zone, advanced native gamut, additional disclosed. So yeah, AI-based motion compensated video. So yeah, so again, this is just stuff that people probably don't need to worry about. Let's see what's on this one. Okay, so warranties. Make this a little bit smaller. Okay, so warranties, you have the paid option for future hardware upgrades. So, paid option for for hardware upgrades. Okay, so the other paid option is for, I guess, software. So you don't get that. You only get that on the Extreme Mark II. Warranty and parts and labor, you get 2 years. And again, I think if you add that package, that upgrade, I think it extends it to 4 years on the core. CPU processing power core threads, 4 out of 8. So, oh yeah, so it's right there. Yeah, so core with premium pack, it extends it to 4 years. So you don't get hardware upgrades, obviously, but I think you get those software upgrades, some of the stuff that's there, whatever that is. And then you get, let's see, HDMI 2.0B, 18 gigabits per second, HDMI 2.1. So I guess that's showing the amount of ports. So you get the HDMI 2.1. So you'll get, even though it's HDMI 2.1 on the core, you're not going to get that 8K. HDMI 2.0B, 18 gigabits per second, 0 latency pass-through. Let's see, additional outputs, DisplayPort 1.4. So yeah, so it looks like you get 3 display ports and 1 HDMI on that, which is kind of odd that they focus on the DisplayPort. I don't know how many people are going to be plugging these up to their computers or like computer monitors, but rack mounts, so rack mountable to you. And okay, I think that's pretty much it for that. Let's see here. Okay, so let's see. Tar Hoya says if it finally gives a madVR option much more price for feature competitive with Lumigen. Yeah, and no knock on, I've never used Lumigen. I know people have them and love them. The only knock on it, well, I don't want to say knock on it. I don't want to sound like I'm crapping on them, but I don't think Lumigens are very user friendly. Like they're not plug and play. You have to do a lot of tinkering. With the madVRs, it's basically plug and play. So depending on how you adjust the nonlinear stretch, you can get some soap opera effect, the artifact correct process. Huh, interesting. I haven't seen that. I'll have to look out for that whenever I get it. What's up, Chris? It's 4:30, man, or it's 5 o'clock now. I imagine you're still working. This is going to be a quick live stream anyway. I mean, we can do one. We can do one specifically. Actually, we need to do one on probably Kaleidescape and madVR now, so I'll get with you on that. AudioVice said they are expecting to start shipping in September, and they'll have one this weekend. Yeah, so they'll have one at AudioVice this weekend, and I know Joy from madVR told me he's gonna have it also at Cedia. So that sounds about right, September. But I assume you can purchase them now, I guess, but you know, they just won't start shipping till September. I'm using all the features offered by the Extreme, and I'm very happy. I get one-on-one support from AudioVice. Nice. Can you get core functions on the free online version? Can you get core functions on the free online version? Let's see. I don't know if that is addressed in here. Where did I see the online stuff at? Is it on here? Okay, free access. Let's see. Free access to the Envy Academy online course. So, I don't know. It's not specific. It just says free access to the Envy Academy online course. So, I'm not sure on that, Ariel. Jeff Boyer says, Kaleidescape is nice, but it's expensive. You can buy a lot of 4K disc and at the state-of-the-art 4K player for what... I mean, it's cheaper than the madVR. So that's one of the things that us content creators talk about amongst ourselves. A lot of people... Kaleidescape seems to be like one of the biggest hate topics that there is. But again, nobody says anything about madVR. madVR is what? Well, now it's $5,000, but $8,000, and then all the way up to, you know, whatever the top of the line price is. Like, why is Kaleidescape cause such controversy? Because people will spend the money on madVR, they'll spend the money on Trinov, they'll spend the money on, you know, Storm Audio. They'll spend the money on speakers and subs, but Kaleidescape gets a bunch of hate. And I get it. It's expensive. But that's not really the case anymore. It's $4,000. $4,000 is not cheap. $4,000 is $4,000. It's a lot. But we can't really hate on them anymore. I mean, maybe you only get a certain amount of movies that you can download on the Strato V, but it's the same thing with madVR. They're bringing the cost down, and they're making the entry point available for pretty much anybody. You just gotta save up. So, I mean, I'm gonna have to disagree with you a little bit now that they have the. I mean, I sympathize with anybody because, like I said, $4,000, $5,000 is still a lot of money. But can we really say that it's that expensive anymore? Because they're giving us the option. They're listening to people. And you got to remember, these companies, everything is a business. These companies have to make money. They can't sell at a price point that's going to be at a loss for them. Like, nobody's going to do that. So they got to come at a price point where they still have to make a profit. Otherwise, they're just going to tank. So, like, nobody thinks about that stuff. Also, licensing. Dolby isn't free. So you got Dolby Vision on that new one now. You've got Dolby Atmos, DTS:X. I believe DTS:X is open source, or DTS is. I could be wrong on that. But like, they have to pay for all these licensing fees. Those things aren't cheap. And I believe the way it works is like with Dolby, they pay by the, well, I'm not going to say for sure, But I know in some cases they pay per device that they sell. I don't think it's just like, hey, you can slap our name and our services on all your devices for one low fee, a yearly fee. I don't think it works like that. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into these pricings, the way that they price things. And again, they got to make money. And yes, in a lot of cases, the end user ends up paying for it. It has to pay more, but that's just how stuff works. I mean, you make a product, you got to sell it to where you make a profit. So, but hey, at least they're listening to us and they're giving us these options, more affordable options. Now, affordable is going to be relative to everybody. Somebody else may think $4,000 is chump change because they got it like that. For other people, we may have to save up for a couple years. Agreed aspect ratio management is the best feature. Lumigen is about $4,500 for the cheapest and also includes all the same. Man, why's my voice keep cracking? And also includes all the same processing features. Yeah, but again, Lumigen is not plug and play. It's not user friendly. Like I think you pretty much have to have a calibrator come out and calibrate that thing. Lumigen is good, but not nearly as impactful as the madVR. Again, I don't have any experience with madVR. With Lumigen. I've seen madVR many times at shows, at people's homes. So it is good. The calibration you can do with this unit is almost infinite. I just had a calibrator in last week and my projector image is the best it's ever looked. Nice. So do you always call the calibrator, or do you ever attempt to do any of the stuff yourself? I mean, I would probably need a calibrator too. I'm sure there's some basic things that I could figure out and just, presets, but if you want to get the best of the best of your picture quality, then yeah, a calibrator is going to know how to do that stuff more. Ariel says, Jeff, do you have any info on where the Lumigen is not as impactful? Just curious. I'm in the market and doing some research. Thanks. The other nice thing about the core is it's 2U. My extreme is 4U and is the nice of the. I'm assuming he's saying it's bigger than the desktop computer. It's the largest. Yeah, they're pretty big. So 4U is going to take up a lot of space. So I like that they made this, smaller in a 2U rack, to fit in your rack with only takes up 2U spaces. Jeff says, not offhand, there are several Lumigen versus madVR YouTube videos. Bobby Digital says, updates are better, subtitle management better, aspect ratio is better, and faster than Lumigen. Okay. I'll have to take your word on that. Almost all the experts comparing the two pick madVR. I'll also have to take your word on that. The madVR is not plug and play. There are many adjustments that need to be made to take advantage of. True. So when I say that it's plug and play, you can literally just plug it up and hit presets because they have presets on there. So that's when I say it's plug and play. Obviously, if you're spending that kind of money, you're probably going to want to go with a calibrator to get the best that you can. But if you just get it and maybe you don't have the money for a calibrator, maybe you just spent $5,000 and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to rock the presets right now. Maybe I'm going to do a little bit of tinkering. You can still use it. It's still usable. So that's what I mean when I say it's plug and play. But yes, if you want to get the absolute 100% best out of that product, you're probably going to need to go with a calibrator. Unless you are a calibrator or you know how to calibrate. Oh, here we go. Just remember, Kaleidescape went belly up 2 or 3 years ago. If that happens again, you lose the ability to view the movies at purchase. So that is a misconception. You don't lose the ability to view the movies that you purchased. You can still play it offline. There is no online connectivity is not required to play your Kaleidescape videos. So even if you unplug the Ethernet cable out of the back, you can still watch your movies. You can never plug it up to the internet ever again, and you'll still be able to plug your movies. Now, yes, if they do go belly up, yes, you won't be able to purchase new movies. I mean, I don't know what that does to the album art or the movie art. I still think that's going to work offline. But even if that were to happen, you'll still be able to play your movies. You just won't be able to purchase new movies through that. So I think that's a misconception that people have about Kaleidescape, is that, you know, if they were to go belly up, then you would lose the ability. You'll still be able to play all the movies that you have. Now, if they go belly up, will you be able to delete your movies and then re-download them from the server? I don't know. But as far as I know, all the movies that you have on your hard drive at the time, you'll still be able to use those. But I don't think that's going to happen, man. Like, when you go to these shows, so I haven't been to AudioVice Live, but I mean, it's the same thing at all these shows. AudioVice Live, Cedia, what else? M-Wave, any other show where they're showing audio and video, I would say 95% of the rooms that you go into where they're showing video or movies, those companies are partnered with Kaleidescape. All the booths have Kaleidescape. They're not going belly up anytime soon, if ever. And they continue to win awards at Cedia each year. Like, I don't think that's going to happen again, because everybody uses them at these shows. That says something. That's a testament to their staying power. When all these brands, these big brands, you know, Trinov, Storm Audio, you know, these big speaker brands, when they choose, they could go with anybody. They could use as a do. They could pick up a $300 a do and use that, but they don't. They use Kaleidescape. So as long as that's happening, they're not going anywhere. That was back in like 2016, a lot longer than 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, that was a long time ago. I actually remember when that happened. And that was when they were still using discs. So again, I don't see Kaleidescape going anywhere. I have attempted some adjustments, but you really need an expensive video calibrator. Yeah, that sounds about right. Greg says, yep, a lot longer ago, I owned a Cinema 1 and did not lose any ability to play my movies for that very brief period. Yeah. But you do download all your movies. Correct. You do download your movies from their server. Again, when we're talking about playback is different from the ability to download. So I don't know what would happen if that were to happen. If Kaleidescape were to go belly up one day, I'm going to assume you probably won't be able to re-download movies that you've purchased if they're not already on your hard drive, unless they say, hey, we're going to honor our customers and leave our servers up. I don't know. But as far as actual playback and the movies that you have on your hard drives, you will still be able to play that. If it's downloaded, you'll be able to play it. But again, downloading is different from playback. So I mean, I don't know what would happen if you decided, hey, I deleted this movie, the company went, belly up, I want to re-download that movie that I already purchased. I don't know. The new unit allows you to download about 10 movies. That is 10 4K movies. Yes, that's correct. You can only play movies that you don't. Right. So when we start talking about like the ability to download, I don't know what would happen in that situation. I'm going to assume you probably won't be able to download unless they make that available. I mean, when Oppo started making Blu-ray players, they said that they were going to have dedicated support for a couple years afterwards. So, I mean, the same thing could happen. Who knows? But I would assume that that's going to cost them money, and they probably would. If you're going belly up, I mean, Oppo's a little bit different. They just stopped making the players. They didn't go out of business. They just stopped making them. So I guess they had the ability to offer support. I don't know how that works because, I mean, you still got to pay somebody. So I don't know if it's somebody that's doing double duty, that's doing another job, and they say, hey, you know, you're going to stay in this role for a couple of years, and then who knows what happens after. But again, that hasn't happened yet. Yes, it happened once for a very short period. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. So, and trust me, I don't want to sound like a jerk or anything like that, but the argument that Kaleidescape is too expensive, now it's kind of like, we can't really make that argument anymore because the madVR is $1,000 more. Why isn't that too expensive? But Kaleidescape is. And they're lowering the prices and giving you more options. Like, I got to disagree on that. "100% of mine in my case are always downloaded and not a concern. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Greg. Not trying to be a Kaleidescape hater. I think the technology is great. It's very expensive. Price out the Kaleidescape storage options and you'll see what I mean." No one's going to argue that. The storage is expensive. But so is Apple. Apple does the same thing. Oh, you want to upgrade your laptop or your Mac Studio? Guess what? You're going to pay a premium price. People complain about that too. I'm not going to argue with that, man. It's expensive. It is what it is. But who knows? Maybe this is, who knows if they have something else in the works. I'm not saying that they do. I don't have any inside knowledge. I'm just saying, who's to say that they don't come out with some other cheaper options for hard drive space now that they have the Strato? Who knows? But no one's going to argue that. The storage is expensive. No argument there. But again, people buy Apple products. You pay a premium for that. When you buy a phone, you pay a premium for that. You want to upgrade from 128 to 256, you're going to pay a premium for that. And I mean, people will argue, people complain about that, but they still buy it because it works. So obviously we're talking about two different niches here, but again, we can kind of say that about anything. All good, different price points, and was an aspirational product. Enjoyed owning it in 2010. Kaleidescape won't be belling up anytime soon. Once you have it, it's so nice, clean, and works well in the home theater environment. Yes, and I am not going to be a hypocrite. I was one of the ones long before when I was even on YouTube, even when they had the discs, when there was no, Kaleidescape player like they have now. I was one of those people that was like, I'm not paying for that. That's too expensive. Like, why does it cost this much? And, fast forward years and years later, I have one now. But it's kind of one of those things, like, once you have it, you don't want to go back. I still, oops, somebody's calling me. Let me turn this down. I still do the ripping. I still enjoy ripping. I just made a video on the Zudu Ultra HD 8000. I love that thing. That thing is awesome. And I have, probably 450 movies on my personal server as compared to maybe like 15 on the Kaleidescape. So I'm nowhere near the ecosystem that I am on, ripping. I still enjoy that stuff. I'm trying to build up my library for Kaleidescape. And I enjoy making content with it. Most of you guys seem to enjoy those, movie reviews. So it's beneficial. But yeah, I agree. They're not bailing up anytime soon. If you go to any of these shows that are geared towards home theater, stuff like I said, CDF, M-Wave, Audio Advice Live. I'm trying to think if there's any other shows. At least those are the shows that I've been to. I haven't been to Audio Advice. But any booth that has, one, high-end equipment, or two, even if it's not the most highest-end equipment, but they're showing movies, They all have Kaleidescape. They're all partnered with them. They're in every single booth, like 95% of the booths. I think I saw one time somebody was using a Zadu one time, and I was like, oh, that's the first time I've ever seen anybody using a Zadu at one of these shows. But you go to any of these booths, you're going to see Kaleidescape all over the place. And there's a reason for that. So they're not going anywhere. And yeah, if you can get one, it's a great ecosystem. As far as, functionality, playback, storage that's a different discussion. Kaleidescape has locked in with 90% of all movie industry out there. It's a great unit for all who, yeah. So that's another thing. You get your movies. I mean, what? A Quiet Place came out. Came out yesterday on Kaleidescape. It's not coming out until October. That's 3 months, right? August, September. Yeah, so that's 3 months. The movie's still in theaters. I saw the movie in July of this month, and I have it. I watched it last night. So that's another feature that you're not going to find with anybody else. And those are exclusive deals. Convenience factor, being able to get the movie, months before, the physical disc in some cases. I mean, I saw Fall Guy in the theater and I had it on Kaleidescape 2 weeks later. That's the quickest I've ever seen it. So again, you're not going to find that anywhere else. It's a great unit for all who are passionate about movies. Very true, very true. People have to realize that you're paying more for the development and the hardware itself. Also true. So development, hardware, and licensing. Licensing is very big, man. Like, people don't understand how much you got to pay for. Dolby is not cheap. I don't have like a stat sheet to tell you how much it costs, but it's not cheap. And they have to license. So again, it goes back to, and it's not like Kaleidescape's junk and charging exuberant prices. It's a well-made thing. They've never been hacked. The UI is slick. You've got an awesome app that you can integrate. Whenever I buy a movie, I just open up my app on my phone. Either I pre-order it, or if it's already available, I buy it. 15 minutes later, it's downloaded. I can go watch it. So there's a whole ecosystem there. And again, it goes back to companies making products, whatever it is, whether it's a refrigerator, whether it's a car, whether it's a laptop, a TV, it doesn't matter what it is. Companies have to make a profit. And however they come to the conclusion of how much they're going to charge for that product, that's behind closed doors. But no one's arguing that it's expensive. No one's saying, hey, this is inexpensive. $4,000, $5,000, $8,000, $20,000, that's expensive. No one's arguing that. The product itself, I think people need to separate, and I know it's hard, I think people need to separate pricing from the actual quality of the product. Because I think a lot of people just crap on Kaleidescape. Oh, it's too expensive. It's too expensive. But it's a quality product. And when you get something that's quality, you're going to pay a premium for it, like with anything. Bad Boys 4 is phenomenal on Kscape. Makes it easier for those who don't know how to do the ripping or have time. Yeah, so that's another thing. Some people, Kaleidescape is very, very big on convenience. Some people don't want to do the ripping because you have to buy the disc. So I have somewhere between 450, 500 movies. That's over 10, 15 years. That's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that you got to spend. Again, you're going to spend it one way or the other, ripping or Kaleidescape. But you got to buy the movie. Then you got to download ripping software, which you probably have to pay for. Well, even before that, you have to have a computer. So you need a computer. It needs to be fast enough to be able to rip movies. So you've got, if you don't have one, you either have to go buy one or you have to build one. Like me, I built 2 computers and I've used, that's what I did. So you got to buy a case, you got to buy a motherboard, you got to buy a processor, you got to buy memory, you got to buy hard drive space. That's just to build a computer. If you want to start ripping, Now you've got to buy the movie. Now you've got to buy extra hard drives to store all the movies. So that takes up space. It takes up space to store the movie, you know, either in a plastic disc case that it comes in, or if you store it somewhere else. Then you got to worry about, I mean, if you're ripping it, you probably don't have to worry about this very much. But then you have to worry about, like, is this disc going to get scratched up when I'm using it? I've gotten discs where I've bought it from Best Buy, RIP buying discs at Best Buy. I've literally bought numerous discs from Best Buy and put it into the disc drive and it didn't work. Like, it wouldn't rip. I can put it in my Blu-ray player and play and it plays. But for whatever reason, it just, I don't know if I got a dud that it won't rip. So then you have to worry about stuff like that. I've had discs more than once on 3 occasions where I've put the disc in and it took a lot longer to rip than normal. I left it overnight, came back in the next morning, opened the drive, and the disc is shattered. Like someone took a hammer to it and just completely broke it into thousands of little pieces. It's happened to me 3 times. And I'm assuming it got overheated and the movie still didn't rip. So I'm out now $30. Like, am I going to go buy the movie again? At that point, I'm like angry because I don't want to spend another $30 and then it's going to happen. So you got stuff like that. But every time you buy a movie, you got to rip it, you got to store it, and then you got to make sure you manage that stuff. Hard drives fail. So at some point you may lose data unless you go the NAS route. NAS is even more expensive, you know, network attached storage. So then you've got to do redundancy. Some people might look at that and then look at Kaleidescape and be like, nah, if I'm going to be spending all that thousands of dollars anyway, I might as well just spend the $5,000 or $10,000 on a Kaleidescape. And if you can do that, if you have the funds, hey, power to you. That's awesome. So yeah, I mean, there's arguments on both sides, man. You're going to spend the money one way or another. People say, hey, I could buy the 4K disc and rip it myself. Well, after like 10 years of doing that, you've probably exceeded the cost of a Kaleidescape anyway. So it depends on how you look at it. Mike Wright says, I'm going Kscape because physical is getting harder to get in Canada. I see. So I wouldn't have even thought of that. Depends on where you live too. I'm curious though as to why that's the case, but that's interesting. Jeff Boyer says, agree, Kscape is very nice and convenient. Also, the audio and video quality can sometimes exceed. Yes, most of the cases, the video is going to exceed the video is going to exceed the disc. I would say more times than not, the audio is probably going to be on par. But if the disc is, or if Kaleidescape has a bigger file size, I don't really know how that works. Usually, it's the video that's more improved, but I have heard that sometimes the audio can be improved, but I don't know how that works. Like, I don't know if they make a different audio mix for Kaleidescape that has more, you know, the file size is bigger, that has more data versus the disc. I don't know. I just decided to upgrade my processor and projector along with the madVR. Yeah, I mean, who knows, you know, in the future, if you decide that you want to upgrade to Kaleidescape. I know my next upgrade is going to be this, the madVR Core. At some point, I'm going to own this because it's not so unattainable now. My end goal or end game setup is going to be a Trinoff, but that's a long ways away. However, I should be getting one in for review at some point. It's not mine. I don't get to keep it. I'll have to send it back. But I should be getting one in at some point, hopefully in the next couple months, along with their Amplitude 16. So that'll be cool. I'm excited for that. What setup are you using to rip? So I use, excuse me, I use Make MKV. And I keep saying I don't do it as much anymore, so I forget. But I've been using the free version of Make MKV for, man, 10, 15 years. Because you can update the code after the trial runs out. So let's see here. Holy cow, we have a looks like we have a super chat here. Wow, thank you, man. That is awesome. Greatly appreciate it. And Home Theater Denmark, if you don't mind me asking in the live chat, what is your name? Because I always have to say like the full name. Like, if you don't mind other people knowing your name, put it in the chat because I'd like to thank you personally. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. That's awesome. Here's a little from Denmark. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much, man. Again, much appreciated. That is by far the biggest super chat that I've ever gotten. You're incredible. Thank you. And I'm not just saying that. Like, anytime I'm on live streams, this guy shows up. Sometimes when it's 2, 3 a.m. and I'm like, man, thank you for supporting, but I want you to go to sleep. I want you to get some sleep. But man, thank you, and thank you for all the support. That you comments and everything. So that was awesome, dude. I think he had. Let's see here. I haven't done any ripping. I own a couple of 100 4K discs. So you should, man. I will say though, once you get past like 50, it's gonna if you're just starting to rip your entire library, it's gonna take you a while. A couple hundred discs. I would start now before it gets any bigger than that. It's gonna take you a while to rip that a couple hundred 4K discs. But once you do it, man, you will never not go back. And once you get caught up, each time you buy a disc, it's only one disc you have to rip versus let me start over from the beginning, 200. There's nothing else like it. Like before Kaleidescape, all that stuff, I'm still doing ripping. And once I realized that I could do that and rip everything digitally, I don't even touch my discs, man. Like I have them all in like a little briefcase thing with some sleeves. Excuse me. The only time I pull out a disc is if maybe the file got corrupted, or when I had a 3D projector and I wanted to watch the 3D, I would pop that in. Or if like somebody wanted to borrow the disc, I don't touch discs at all. I rip it once and then I pretty much never look at it again. And then if you have something like a Zadu or Zapedi, if you still have one, RIP, or if you have Arvolution, dude, you can access all your movies over the network. You basically have like your own Netflix library. It downloads all the movie art, all the info. Like, it's awesome, man. I would highly encourage you to look into that, because once you start taking discs out and putting them in the disc tray, it's going to get scratched at some point, or you're going to drop it, or a kid's going to pick it up, and like, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. I like the aspect as I never go out to the cinemas. Yeah, I started really going back to the cinema this year just because of the Regal Unlimited and being on YouTube. I'm like, it kind of makes sense. I can make content with it going back to movies. But I also kind of wanted to support movie theaters as well, because trust me, guys, you don't want theaters to die. That is how movies continue to be made. That is how movies make their money, is at the theater. If theaters die, and I get it, like even now, going back to the theater, there's times where I'm like, why did I do this? Because the people here suck. They're talking, they're on their phones. I won't say every single movie that I've seen is like that, but there's been times where I'm like, this is why I have a home theater. And if it wasn't for, being a content creator on YouTube and having, Regal Unlimited, I would just stay at home and just wait for the movie. I mean, that's what I did during COVID. And for, I want to say like the first year and a half after COVID, I was like, I'm just going to wait for it to come to home release because it's not worth it. So that is an absolutely understandable argument. But trust me, you don't want theaters to die. Because if they die, then movie corporations are going to start dying, because they're not going to make any money off of just straight to streaming. Like, it's just not going to happen. But I agree with you. Like, being able to have movies at home. Let's say if you do choose to, like, I'm not going to go see that movie in the theater. I'm just going to wait the 3 months or whatever, 45 days for it to come home. You have that ability, and then you can either do that with Kaleidescape or you can rip it, and you get a much better experience than going to the theater. And you can pause, you can get up, you can do what you need to do. You can go to the bathroom, you can go get popcorn. You don't have to worry about missing the movie. You don't have to worry about kids, crying babies, people talking in the movie, people pulling out their phones. It's just a completely different experience. excuse me, I have a ton of 4K discs. I worry if my player dies. So that's another thing you have to worry about. Not only the disc dying, but eventually that Blu-ray laser that reads the optical drive that reads it, eventually that's going to die. Now, my Oppo 203 is still working because I don't ever use it. I haven't used it in years, maybe like a handful of times over the last couple of years since I started using like Plex and Zudu. I still have it and I'm still going to keep it because it's awesome. And when I do use it, I'm like, now I remember why this thing is so awesome. But yeah, that's another thing you have to worry about. Eventually, that laser is gonna stop working. You're not gonna be able to read discs anymore. And you're gonna have to buy a new player. And I don't know if you've noticed, but companies aren't making Blu-ray disc players that much anymore. I think it's Samsung just completely stopped making them. Sony still makes them. You got companies like Magnetar, Panasonic. Beyond that, I don't know many companies that are making really, really good quality, Blu-ray players. So, man, the way of the future is digital. And I'm not saying streaming because I don't think streaming is the way of the future. I think it's good accessibility. But if you want the highest quality, you either need to go get the disc and rip it or go Kaleidescape. Does Kaleidescape still do disc? Yes, I actually did that a few months ago when I started buying movies, and it's an awesome feature. I don't think a lot of people know that you can do that. If you have a compatible Blu-ray player, and it's super easy. If you have a compatible Blu-ray player, you plug the Blu-ray player into the back of one of the USB ports on the Kaleidescape. Once you do that, it automatically recognizes that there's a disc drive, and it starts blinking the front of it. One of the, I don't remember if it's the player or I think it's the player. It starts blinking. You put your disc, your 4K disc in, your 1080p disc into the drive. You close it. Literally like 5 seconds later, it spits it back out. And if you go and look at your log on the Kaleidescape on the web GUI, it shows, basically it's just proving that you have that disc, and then they'll give you a discounted price. I haven't seen anything over $4.99. So basically what it is let's say you have the 1080p version of Avengers, Endgame. Hey, I want to buy the 4K version on Kaleidescape. That disc to digital, you just stick the disc in. It verifies you actually bought this disc in 1080p. $5, you get to buy the 4K version of that movie. It's really awesome. And you can go through it. You can catalog your entire library. It's not going to make you purchase the movie. You purchase the ones that you want. But if you have 150 movies and you want to catalog them, 1080p movies, I think it only works from 1080p to 4K. Like you can't go from DVD to 4K. I think it has to be 1080p to 4K. Maybe DVD to 1080p. I'm not sure on that. But I know you can't go or you can't stick a 4K disc in there. Like, hey, I have the 4K disc, but I want it on Kaleidescape. It won't let you do that. But it's an awesome feature I don't see anybody talking about. Crazy. I can't justify the cost. You can build one for more than half the price. Yeah, again, man, I don't know. Maybe you didn't hear me on my rant earlier about that, but you can go back and watch me talk about that because there's arguments on both sides. And again, we're talking about a stream for madVR that's $5,000. Like, why is that not the same argument as, like, I get the argument, but I don't get it, especially now with the cheaper options that we have. Like, it's the same price, even though it's a different product. Why is nobody say, oh, madVR is too expensive, or Trinov is too expensive, or like, I don't know. It's kind of funny when you start thinking about it. Jeff says, I'm looking at the Arvolution system for storing my 4K disc, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet. Yeah, I mean, you've got Zudu, you've got Arvolution, and you've got Dune. I don't have any experience with Dune. I've reached out to them a couple of times. They haven't said anything, so I don't think I'm getting one for review. But they're pretty much basically all the same. Like, literally, the Arvolution Player 1 that I have, and the Zudu Ultra HD. So I have three Zudus. I have the Z9X, I have the Z20 Pro, and I have the Ultra HD 8000, which is their flagship. Literally, the Arvolution and the Zudu players use the exact same remote codes. Like I can use the Z9 the Zudu remote and control the Arvolution, and it works with Harmony. And I found that out because I had both of them plugged up a couple months ago, and whenever I would turn one on, the other one would turn off. And because when I was testing the Arvolution, so the Zudu, I have it linked to my smart light, so whenever I hit play or pause, the lights will come on or pause. So when I was testing the Arvolution, I hadn't configured the Arvolution player to do that. So when I was playing, I would pause. I was like, how are my lights activating, turning on? Like, I haven't configured this thing for that. And I'm like, wait a minute. And then I went and looked at my Zudu, and I'm like, oh, my Zudu is on. So both players were on this at the same time, and they were receiving the same code. So I'm like, oh, they both use the same remote codes. And then I actually started testing it, and yeah, they work exactly the same. So they're probably being made, some parts of it are probably being made in the same factory, and they're just slapping their name on it with different, obviously software features and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a good option. With movies on Kaleidescape, do you own the movie or just purchase an agreement to stream it? You own it. So once you buy the movie, it's yours. You can delete it. Let's say you're running out of space. You're like, hey, I want to download some newer movies. You delete it. And then a year later, you decide, hey, I want to watch Tenet again, but I need to re-download it. You've already purchased it. It's yours. Again, if Kaleidescape was to go out of business, all those movies that you own, as long as they're downloaded to your hard drive at that time, you own it. You can still use them. So as far as an agreement to stream it like other services, when you download Kaleidescape, I don't think there's like a thing that makes you sign an agreement. I don't remember doing that, but I don't think that's the case. But I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe there's on the website somewhere, there's an asterisk all the way at the bottom. I don't know. But as far as I know, no. It was $14K for Kscape in Canada before Strato V. Now with Strato V, it's $5,900. Yikes, man, that's a huge improvement. So, man, props to Kaleidescape for making that happen. That's awesome, man. Bottom line is that I agree Kscape is a state-of-the-art system. I just haven't been able to justify being player unit storage someday. Hey, and again, nobody's arguing that. I will not fight you on that. I will not fight anybody that says they are not able to justify the cost. No argument there. But when people start saying now it's still too expensive, when we're talking about the same price point as madVR, again, if you're going to say that Kaleidescape is too expensive at $4,000, you got to say madVR is too expensive at $5,000. Again, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but same price point, different product. But if you're going to say one is too expensive, $4,000, why is not madVR or some other piece of equipment at $5,000 that people buy all the time and never complain about? So that's just my issue with it. All right. Home Theater Denmark says, my name is Thomas, but most call me Tango. Thomas, again, thank you for the super chat. Awesome. I appreciate that, man. That is great. It's nice to be praised for your work. Because a lot of people don't realize, it's YouTube is free to you guys. You guys can watch all the content you watch for free. But as a content creator, sometimes it can get expensive. And again, nobody's forcing me or anybody else to be a content creator, so I'm not complaining. But there's a lot of time and work that goes into making videos, making quality videos. Sometimes it takes me, on the movie reviews that I do, sometimes it'll take me a week just to film, edit, and then I have to set up my cameras. If I'm doing, I kind of shot myself in the foot with that because I'm doing 4 camera angles now So I've got the subwoofer angle, I've got the main, showing the screen that's in focus. I've got the surround angle that I do, and now I'm doing the Atmos height angle. So I kind of made more work for myself, but I like it, and I want to make a product that's enjoyable. Like, I want to make a product that I would want to watch. Again, a lot of YouTube channels are not going to be for everybody. Maybe some people don't like that, but there's a lot of work that goes into it. So, we appreciate all the support that you guys do, even just subscribing, liking. That's why we ask, because if we don't do that, people will forget. And when people like videos or they comment, that shows the YouTube algorithm that there's engagement. And then the YouTube algorithm says, hey, people like this video. People are watching this video longer than normal. People are liking it. People are commenting. People are sharing it. Let me push this out to more people. So when a video comes out and it just dies, like, I think, what was it? The Planet of the Apes video. That video just bombed. I think I got like 1,100 views on that. So, I mean, it had pretty good engagement, but it just bombed. So once we hit upload and it goes out to, all areas of YouTube, we have no control of how good the video does. So that's why it might seem annoying. And I was that person too before I was on YouTube. I was like, man, why are these guys always asking for likes and subscribe? Well, once I started doing it, I realized very quickly, oh, they're doing that because, that's how the algorithm works, is they see the engagement, and then based on how the engagement is, they push it out. And YouTube also compares your previous 10 videos against itself. So it takes the last 10 videos that you did and it ranks them 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, 3 out. 10 out of 10 is obviously bad. If you have a 1 out of 10 video, that means, hey, this video is doing the best out of your last 10 videos. It must mean more people are engaging with it. I'm going to push it out even more. So that's why sometimes you'll see a video that'll get like a bunch of views really quickly. It's because people are watching it, people are engaging with it, people are watching longer. And so the YouTube algorithm is like, oh, people are liking this video. Let me push it out to this other group of people that maybe aren't subscribers. Let me see if they like it. Oh, they're engaging with it. They like it. Let me push it out to this group of people over here. They like, so then that's how people get like 20,000 views, 50,000, 100,000 views. When a video bombs, it means either nobody's watching it, nobody's engaging with it. But even then, sometimes I've seen videos where it's like, hey, people are, like, I look at the stats, and sometimes the video just doesn't do that good. So it's kind of like a crapshoot, man. You have no control over how video. Even if you spend 2 weeks on a video and it's the most awesome video you've ever done on your channel, it might absolutely bomb. It's really weird how YouTube works. But thank you, Thomas. You're more than welcome. Laugh out loud, that's it. It's most of the people that are not quiet. What's your recommended budget media player? Dune HD. So again, I don't have any experience with Dune HD. I know some of you guys have asked me to review it, and I've reached out to them multiple times to see if I could get a review unit, and they just haven't responded. I don't know if they haven't seen my email. I'm pretty sure they probably have. For whatever reason, they aren't. I don't see anybody reviewing those things. Like Shane Lee, like I don't see anybody. So I don't know if they don't send out review units or what. The only experience I have is with Arvolution and Zidoo. The Zidoo Ultra HD 8000 to me is the best player that I've seen yet. I really love that thing. It's really nice. But as far as budget, like Zidoo has a lot of budget, man, or a lot of players for every budget. I think the entry level is the Z9X Pro now that does I think that one does 8K. That one's like a couple $100, maybe like $300. I bought the Z9X a few years ago for like, I want to say like $250, $300. I think the Z20 Pro that I bought last year was like $350. So they're priced, pretty well. What you have to look at is, do I need an internal drive bay? Like the entry level Z9X is not going to have a drive bay. It's going to have USB ports on the side or on the back where you can plug in extra storage, whether that's a flash drive, or not a flash drive, but like, a hard drive that you can just plug in and you don't need external power, or you can plug like, you know, Western Digital NAS, you know, that you can access over the network, or you can plug. Well, I mean, you'll be plugging that over the network, not directly, but you can plug like a hard drive bay, maybe like a two bay drive, plug that into there, stick your hard drives in there. But it basically just depends on like options. Do you need an internal drive bay? Do you want a little bit better picture, better audio with a better power supply that's going to enhance, like, you know, the audio and the video? I think the Ultra HD 8000 that I have, they said that one has different, so like, well, that one has the Ever Solo. So if you like music and you want like the best, one of the best music players, it's integrated in there. So it just depends, man. But I would say you only really need to spend about around $300, 350, you know, to get one of these players. Again, I don't have any experience with Dune, so I don't know what they cost, but it sounds like they all use the same infrastructure, like Zadoo, Dune, and Art Revolution. Ariel says, Paul, you might want to wait for Jordan's review of Art Revolution Mini. Add your own NOS. I think that would be a stellar system. Yeah, so I am supposed to be getting the Player Mini at some point, probably here in the next couple months. And I think I'm supposed to get two. I think he said he was going to give me one for a giveaway. So that's awesome. And I'll probably do that when I hit 10,000 subscribers, which will probably be, I'm thinking probably September-ish. I'll probably hit 10,000 subscribers. So if he sends me two, I'll do a live stream, you know, a 10,000 subscriber live stream, and I should have one to give away. But yeah, so that should be, a review on that should be coming at some point. Steven says, too expensive is a relative thing, and you can't really build something equal to Kaleidescape. No, you can't. It's not possible. Just if you're just talking, like, if you eliminate everything else, licensing, you're not going to be able to build a Kaleidescape with that, like with the license, because you're not going to be able to get, disk is limited because of the size. Kaleidescape doesn't have, the limiting factor with Kaleidescape is the amount of hard drive space that you have. But there's no size limit as far as like, oh, we need to put this movie on, you know, a dual layer Blu-ray as opposed, or a single layer Blu-ray as opposed to dual layer, because we have to fit the director's cut on there, we have to fit the behind the scenes, we have to fit all this other stuff. Whereas Kaleidescape is, they can make the file size however big they want, and the only limiting factor is your hard drive space, which really isn't even a limiting factor, because you can delete and re-download movies at will if you need to do that. So, but yes, you can't, quality-wise, you're not going to be able to go out and buy the same products that Kaleidescape has to build something like that. Then you're talking about the user interface. Who knows how to build a user interface? I mean, yeah, you can go get something like a Zadoo, but even then, that's not the same. I mean, you can't build, a lot of people say, oh, I can build my own. No, you can't. You can't build a Kaleidescape. You can build your own media server, and even then, you're not building it. You're still buying a Zadoo or a Dune, and you're just getting the movie, buying it, and ripping it. You're not building anything, because it's already there. All the infrastructure is there. You're just taking all these parts and then adding it together to make your own server. But, and I get it. That's not, people aren't literally saying I can build this, but it's not the same. You can build something that works for you and customize to your needs. I'm a Plex guy and it's good enough. Yeah, I use Plex for, how long have I been in my house now? 6 years. So I used Plex for probably 10 to 12 years. And then when I found, not that I just wasn't enjoying it, I was just like, oh, you know, so I was using Plex when I first started doing it. I was using my computer and I was plugging my computer directly up to my TV. And I was like, this sucks, because Windows, like trying to get Dolby Atmos on Windows was a horrible experience. And then I found out about NVIDIA Shield and I was like, oh my God, this thing is awesome. So I used that for years. Even that was kind of limited. Sometimes it would be quirky. And then when I moved to this house a couple years ago, I found out about the Zadoo and I was like, man, this thing is awesome. Why isn't anybody talking about this? Or, you know, more. And then I started realizing like, oh man, these things are awesome. Like this cuts out pretty much a lot of the work of a, a Plex server. But, and I think Plex is still awesome. I haven't used Plex, man, probably in a couple years since I got the Zadoo. What I will say about Plex though, what I don't like is when Plex first started, it was just a movie server that you downloaded the software on your computer. That's all it was. Now they have like free TV shows and free movies and there's advertising and I'm like, I get it. Like they're getting advertising deals, which is the same thing that people do on YouTube. When you see an ad and it has the little paid promotion, that creator got paid. Again, the stuff isn't cheap and time is money. So time is money, buying gear, if you want to upgrade your videos, camera, microphone, lighting, if you're going to travel to like none of it's cheap. So when you see creators that get paid promotions, like don't hate on them, man, because they're not weasels. They're not trying to pull one over on you. They're not trying to get paid so that they can say a bunch of good stuff. Some of these creators, like this is their livelihood. This is their life. Like Shane Lee, that's his full-time job. This isn't my full-time job. I work 7 to 4 for a company. I've been there for 16 years. And I've had people ask me like, would you ever think about considering doing YouTube full-time? And I thought about it very quickly or very shortly in the very beginning. I was like, you know what? No. Because one, YouTube doesn't come close to paying my bills. It's not even in the same realm. But also, I enjoy doing this. And when you turn something into your job where it relies on like, hey, I got to get 5 videos out this month so I can pay my rent, I don't want to do that. Because then it's a job and I'm not doing it because I enjoy it. I'm doing it because I have to. Because I have to make money. And I will probably never make YouTube my full-time job, even if it got to the point to where I was making enough money. Like I don't want to do that. But I also get not having to work for a corporation and working for yourself, waking up whenever you want to, making, videos whenever you want to. I get that. But even now that YouTube isn't my full-time job, there's still times where I'm like, I don't feel like doing this today. I don't feel like setting up my camera in my theater. I don't feel like taking out the lights. I don't feel like setting up shots. I don't feel like writing a script. Sometimes I just don't feel like doing it. And then I'm like, oh, I get excited again. But I mean, it's still, making YouTube videos is still work. It may not be your job, but it's still work. I don't even remember how I got on that tangent, but let's see here. Oh yeah, so too expensive is a relative thing. Yeah, so yeah, stuff costs money, man. And good point. Expensive to someone else may be a completely different number. $4,000 to someone else, to someone who's a millionaire or who makes 6 figures, they're probably like, whatever, it's $4,000, But to somebody else, that may be like offensive. Now, with all of this, what is the better HDMI cable, SVS SoundPath or the new TXX cables? I haven't used either of those. I've used SVS cables, but not HDMI. And I have no experience with THX cables, so I can't really answer that question. Again, and that's a whole nother like rabbit hole that you can just absolutely like deep dive, because you're going to have people that are going to say, there's no difference. Like, I mean, I would probably say the quality of the cable makes a difference, but I'm not an engineer and I'm not a technician, so I can't like hold up 2 cables and say this one's better. And even if you're just doing blind eye tests, you're probably not going to notice the difference. So that's a hard one to answer. All right, last comment. I got to bounce. Thanks everyone for the information exchange. Good luck to everyone. Yeah, man. Thanks to everybody that tuned in for this. I was expecting this to be like 45 minutes, but again, that never happens. But we got kind of off track on the whole madVR thing, and we went to Kaleidescape and all that stuff. But it's good. I enjoy the talking to everybody and getting to chat with everybody live. So I will have madVR, like they will be on the channel next week on Thursday. They just couldn't be here for this live stream and this week because they're at they're at Audio Advice Live this week. But next Thursday at 7:30 Central, I'll have Richard Lutovsky and Joey Peacock from madVR. So you'll be able to talk to them directly and get all your answers, you know, all your questions answered, because I'm just sharing information. I don't have inside information. I can't tell you all the specs and stuff other than what they've given me. So make sure you guys tune in for that. Mike says, thanks, this was great. Yeah, always appreciate you guys. And again, thanks, man. Appreciate the super chat, and appreciate everybody that continues to support the channel. I think I might have another video out this week. I've got some stuff that I've got like a couple of videos that I'm currently like working on editing that I need to shoot. I think the next video I might do is the little Trinov. They reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to do something with the videos. So I know there's a couple of creators that have done so already, but you can actually go to Trinov, their website, and download some of their demo clips, and they're actually really good. Like, I was really impressed. So I will probably have a video out on that later this week. I got to do a couple more stuff with that. Paul says, appreciate the feedback. Can you set the internal drives of the PC to be visible by Zadoo? Yes. So that's, let me make sure I got that. Can you set the internal drive? Yeah. So that's actually how it works. If you're going over the network, you have to make your hard drives visible so that the Zadoo can see it. So it uses the SMB server. And I mean, I made my hard drives on my computer accessible over the network anyway. I just mapped them on my network, and I was doing that with Plex when I was using my NVIDIA Shield. Like, I was just doing it over the network. So, you know, if you use the network feature of the Zadoo, you have to make them visible. But it works both ways. So if you have a hard drive in the Zadoo, you can turn on the feature and you can actually see it on your computer. So, which is super awesome, because when I rip a movie to my computer, once it rips to the hard drive, I just send it over the network to my Zadoo on the hard drive, and it's, you know, takes however long it takes depending on the file size. So yeah, it's absolutely possible. Well, all right, guys, it is now 6 o'clock here Central. I need to go get me something to eat, and I need to finish or continue working in my home theater, because I'm putting up some panels. I'm putting up some stuff for lighting. So I'm not going to finish today, but I'm doing that. But yeah, thank you guys, you know, for tuning in on this Wednesday evening. I did a little bit earlier than I usually do, but I wanted to, you know, get it out of the way early. Let's see, we got another question. Does Kaleidescape have movie boutique labels, Scream Factory, Arrow? I don't know on that. I do know they have quite a large library, and they have, I don't know if they have boutique labels as far like collector stuff. Like, I know they have some collectors, like you can buy, if there's like a Avengers or, you know, MCU, you can buy like a whole collection at a discounted rate. But as far as that, I'm not sure. Like Scream Factory, I don't know. I'm thinking those are probably exclusive deals with like discs. But again, I don't know, because all that stuff is like licensing and deals that they make, studios make with these, you know, factories that produce that stuff. So, but all right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and log off. You guys enjoy your Wednesday evening. Thank you to everyone that tuned in. Thank you to everyone that's watching this after the fact. And I will probably see you guys in the chats, in the comments, in one of the next videos. Peace, guys.